Welcome back to the real supernatural ghost and horror stories channel on YouTube. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You may have already seen these movies, but if you haven't yet, it will make your hair stick up, give you goosebumps with tingling hairs. Feel as though somebody is watching you, like you're not alone. May your guardians be with you. Warning: if you are easily afraid, do not proceed further and exit. We are not responsible for your nightmares. Let's get started. This got to be my number one, and I still get nightmares, and it's old, but damn, it's freaky scary! The Exorcist, 1973. What makes The Exorcist so horrifying is not just the image of a child being overtaken by something ancient and evil, but the fact that the story was inspired by a real 1949 exorcism case involving a young boy whose family and attending priests reported violent disturbances, strange behavior, and a terrifying spiritual battle that lasted for weeks. The movie changes names, ages, and details, but the idea at its core is what chills people to this day. Somewhere in real life, a family truly believed something inhuman had entered their child, and grown men of faith stood at the bedside, convinced they were confronting a demon. That possibility makes every whisper, every voice from the dark, and every moment in that bedroom feel far too close to reality. Let's get started. The fact that this number 2 creeps me is the storyline, the true events. The Conjuring. The Conjuring is terrifying because it was built around the reported haunting of the Perron family, who said they spent years inside a Rhode Island farmhouse where unseen presences moved through the home, touched them, frightened the children, and slowly turned ordinary family life into a waking nightmare. Whether every cinematic detail happened exactly as shown is debated, but the real family insisted the terror behind the film came from lived experiences they never forgot. That is what makes the movie so unnerving. It is not just about a haunted house. It is about a home becoming hostile, a mother beginning to change, children sensing something in the dark, and a family realizing that whatever is with them may have been there long before they arrived. Number 3. The Amityville Horror. The Amityville Horror remains frightening because the house at the center of it was already stained by real blood before the alleged haunting ever began. 6 members of the DeFeo family were murdered there in 1974, and the next family to move in, the Lutzes, claimed they fled after only 28 days of terrifying paranormal experiences. The truth of the haunting has been debated for decades, but that almost makes it worse, because the legend refuses to die. A real massacre happened inside that house, and afterward came reports of cold spots, foul odors, unseen forces, and a growing sense that the home itself had become sick. The horror comes from wondering whether some places remember what happened inside them, and whether evil can linger after the bodies are gone. Number 4. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The Exorcism of Emily Rose is deeply disturbing because it draws from the tragic case of Anneliese Michel, a young German woman who underwent dozens of Catholic exorcism rites before dying in 1976. Her family and priests believed she was possessed. Doctors believed she was suffering from severe illness. The courtroom later had to reckon with the horrifying consequences that real conflict gives the film its terrible power. It is not simply a possession movie. It is a nightmare trapped between faith and medicine, between what can be diagnosed and what cannot be explained. The fear comes from hearing those voices, watching a young woman deteriorate, and never being allowed the comfort of certainty about what was truly happening to her. Number 5. The Entity. 1982. The Entity is one of the most unsettling supernatural films ever made because it was inspired by the reported case of Doris Byther, a California woman who claimed she was repeatedly attacked by an invisible presence inside her own home. Investigators from UCLA's parapsychology circle became involved, and although the most extreme claims remain disputed, the case itself was real, documented, and terrifying enough to become legend. What makes the movie so frightening is the complete helplessness of it. No visible monster, no door to lock, no face to fight. Just a woman insisting that something unseen comes whenever it wants, touches what it wants, and leaves behind terror. Nobody else can fully understand. It turns the safest place in the world, the bedroom, into a place of absolute dread. Number 6. Again, The Conjuring 2. The Conjuring 2 becomes far more frightening when you remember that it draws from the infamous Enfield poltergeist case in London, where the Hodgson family reported moving furniture, violent noises, strange voices, and disturbances that attracted journalists, paranormal investigators, and even police attention. Some events were later questioned, and some tricks were admitted, but the case never fully lost its power because multiple witnesses said they experienced things they could not explain. That uncertainty is exactly what makes the film crawl under your skin. A child speaking in a voice that does not sound like her own, objects shifting in a crowded room, a house seeming to answer back. These are the kinds of details that make you wonder whether the real terror was exaggerated, or whether the movie still softened it. Number 7. Sinister. is the outlier on this list because it is not based on a true supernatural case. But it still feels disturbingly real because it weaponizes one of the most terrifying ideas in horror. The thought that evil can hide inside old recordings, waiting patiently for someone curious enough to press play. The film was born from a nightmare its writer had, and that origin shows in every frame. The grainy home movies, the silent rooms, the sense that the murders are not merely being watched, but continuing to spread through whoever sees them. What makes Sinister so scary is that it does not feel like a monster movie. It feels like evidence, like something you were never supposed to find in the attic. Number 8. The Nun is not a literal true story retelling, but its fear is rooted in the larger world of alleged cases and demonology that helped shape the Conjuring universe. The image of Valak as a demonic nun is a fictional cinematic creation. Yet that is exactly why the film works so well. It twists something holy into something blasphemous, turning a convent, a place meant for prayer, silence, and refuge into a prison filled with watching shadows. The terror comes from seeing evil wear the face of faith, stand in chapel doorways, and move through sacred spaces as if God has gone silent. Even without being a direct true case, it feels like a nightmare built from centuries of fear about what might answer when desperate people pray in the dark. Number 9. Deliver Us from Evil, 2014. Deliver Us from Evil is frightening because it was inspired by the memoirs and case claims of former NYPD officer Ralph Sarchi, who said his police work eventually pulled him into investigations involving possession, occult activity, and forms of evil he believed ordinary law enforcement could not explain. The film is fictionalized rather than a precise reenactment, but that real-life foundation gives it a grim urban weight. Its horror does not begin in a castle or an isolated farmhouse. It begins in alleys, basements, interrogation rooms, and city streets where violence already exists, then suggests something darker may be moving underneath it. That idea is deeply creepy, that behind certain crimes, certain eyes, certain sudden acts of cruelty, there might be a presence feeding on the chaos. And lastly, number 10. Veronica is chilling because it was loosely inspired by Spain's notorious Vallecas case, involving teenager Estefania Gutierrez Lázaro, who reportedly became ill after a seance and later died under mysterious circumstances months after her death. Her family called police to their Madrid apartment, and the responding report included strange phenomena the officers could not easily explain, helping the case become one of Spain's most famous paranormal legends. The film dramatizes heavily, but the emotional core is horrifying. A teenage girl opens a door she does not understand. Something seems to follow her home, and the people around her begin to feel that grief itself has become haunted. That real police report connection gives Veronica a dreadful aftertaste. The feeling that somewhere in a cramped apartment, a family truly believed the darkness had entered and refused to leave.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for tuning into the darkest horror stories of your life. Some of the stories are based on true events or experiences. Please do us a favor. If you could hit like, share this video, and subscribe to our channel. Never listen alone, and stay tuned for new paranormal and horror stories.